So I would like to call the meeting to order at this time, and it is 6:04, April 13th on Tuesday. Allison?
Let the minutes reflect that adequate notice of the holding of this regular meeting of the Howell Township Council was provided for in the following manner. By the posting of a copy of said notice upon the bulletin board in the Township Municipal Building on April 7, 2021. By the emailing of a copy of said notice to the Asbury Park Press, Tri-Town News, and Star Ledger for information and publication on April 7, 2021. By the filing of a copy of said form of notice in the Township Clerk's office on April 7, 2021. The meeting will be allowed, the public will be allowed to attend and will be allowed to participate pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Law. The public is reminded that civility and decorum will be maintained during the meeting. Any contracts awarded at this meeting or between now and the next meeting will be required to comply with the requirements of Public Law 1975, Chapter 127, NJAC 17:27. Councilman Bonovich?
Present.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Here.
Councilwoman Richmond?
Present.
Deputy Mayor Russo?
Here.
Mayor Berger?
Present. Is there a reason for us to go into executive committee this evening?
Yes, Mayor, we have items to discuss under contracts and attorney-client privilege.
We have resolution 21-130A, resolution authorizing the entering into executive session in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, for the following items: police radio system efficiency study and COA FP Howell. Do we have a motion to enter executive?
Motion for executive session?
Second.
Roll call. Councilman Bonovich,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Councilwoman Richmond,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Russo,
Yes.
Mayor Berger.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hey, everyone has the other link to exit out of this meeting and go into the other, please.
All right, so you're gonna have to wait because I've been throwing links from one computer to the other computer, so give me 2 seconds if I don't get there.
No problem. I'll wait.
We're live.
We're live. Okay, good evening, everybody. Today is, what is today? Today is April 13th, 2021. It is 7:19. Please excuse us for being a little late from executive committee. And we will start the actual council meeting. So at this point, I would like to say the executive session minutes from tonight's meeting can be disclosed to the public when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. So at this time, I would like to do a pledge of allegiance, and I would like to have a moment of silence for all of our fallen soldiers, police, fire, all of our first responders, and all of our citizens who have passed from COVID. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, I lost my agenda. It was just here. Oh, here it is. God, help me. Okay, at this point, I would like to have a motion to accept the minutes
Make
from
the
the meeting
motion.
March 29th. Sorry.
It's all right. I'll make the motion to accept the minutes of March 29th, the special budget meeting.
May I have a second?
Do we have a second?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council. Roll call. Councilman Bonovich,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Councilwoman Richmond,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Russo,
Yes.
Mayor Berger.
Yes. At this time, we have the report of the township officials, so I would like to please, if you give me a minute to go through all of our stuff, and then we will bring in Jennifer Bean. So there's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. So this is National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. I want somebody to say that quickly. Like Pam, I want you to say that really quickly. So I want to thank all the dispatchers here in Howell and all the dispatchers who help us all throughout all the towns. So thank you so much. Brian, I wanted to talk about the trap neuter release program. I think that if we could talk about that, that's a program that it's really important program for the feral cats. So can we have a discussion quickly?
Sure. Actually, on tonight's agenda, you'll note that we're looking to switch our animal control services. One of the reasons for that is the Humane Society, who we have been using for a number of years, has been slowly pulling back on the services that they've been offering. We are looking to switch to the SPCA, which is actually a law enforcement entity. The pricing is identical to what the Humane Society has given us. So we're hoping that they'll be able to offer us more services and coordinate a trap neuter release program. Usually that's done outside of that contract, but they work with people in that field.
Thank you. Cablevision. Do we have an update on Cablevision? I know that many of us, we were at the last meeting, we spoke about it and we listened to the meeting. Do you have any updates for the town on? There was supposed to be a meeting between you and me and Cablevision. So has that meeting been set up?
No, as Mayor, as you're aware, I was on vacation. Today's my first day back, so
Okay.
that will be scheduled sometime this week. I know you had asked about having members of the public participate in that as well. So
Yeah.
I'll ask about that.
Okay. I wanted to talk about, there was a grand opening this week for Amazing Athletes for children. And Amazing Athletes, their program revolves around emotional, mental, and physical health. And then we also have Fit Kids who do more physical health. So I'm impressed with people who are coming into the town and opening up businesses for our children. That's our future. And so I think that that's such an amazing, it's an amazing program to be able to try and help kids get through whatever they're getting through today, not only school-wise, but just emotionally. You know, many kids don't talk to their parents, little ones or medium ones, or you know what I mean? So it's a good thing that this program came out, and I went in. It was a great. They have like the soccer field there. There's so many different ways that they get children involved in sports. They have dealt with autistic children and children with special needs, and so this is a really great program for Howell and Howell kids. And I'm really impressed with Amazing Athletes, and Fit Kids has been here. So these two programs together are really good for our kids. So I'm really
located.
They're both on Route 9.
I know Fitz Kids, but the other one is like across the street from there.
It's not far. Bonovich, do you remember where it was? I don't remember the address.
Amazing Athletes is in the same plaza as the Dance Den.
Yes,
Right next to the
around.
clothing gallery right there.
Like there's not a sign up yet.
Yeah, we have to
Yeah.
get the permits for the sign, so that's next.
I also wanted to talk about, I know that opening up the meetings is like taboo, but the warmer months are coming. And since we're in April, I'm hoping that we can get IT to assist us. So maybe we could have our meetings outside so that we could have members of the community join us. So Brian, I'm hoping that you can look into that. It's been over a year and people want to attend our meetings, and I think that they should. And so I would hope that you could like look into this process to see what it would cost us I mean, this might be something that is unbudgeted, but it's something that's going to be going forward. I mean, I don't know how long. It could be for a year, 2 years. I have no idea. But I think that the need to have the town participate almost in real time is important. So if you can, you know, just take a look at that, I really, really, really appreciate that. Do we have an update on the roads? I know I'm going to ask you every meeting until all the roads are like flat. And I don't get a headache
well-
hitting my head.
It's part of my report. From DPW, they're working on potholes currently. 331 potholes have been filled since the last meeting.
How many potholes do
far
we
as-
have? Just asking.
I don't know. I can't answer that. A lot. As far as the
But
paving,
331 is a big number. That's why I'm asking.
I'm sure. It's as far as paving, that will be rolled out as part of the capital budget plan. So that'll be coming very shortly.
Okay.
May I, that online application, I don't know if it's an application, but the one that we asked the residents to use, to report a pothole, how many of, is that being utilized? Or, I mean, are we sharing it? How many of those potholes that you just said came from that actual application? And
I don't have that number off the top of my head. I could find out for you, but we'll certainly try and advertise that. I know we do get a lot of public participation using that link through our website.
With the roads, yeah, I would say so.
I just have a couple more things. So I know that the event for Center State, I mean, thank you to OEM and Victor for setting up the Center State event. It was supposed to be held at Howell Township, but it's being held at Center State due to some possible problems with the J&J vaccine. And so anybody who was getting the J&J vaccine at Howell Township will be getting it at Center State at the same time that they would have gotten at Howell Township. So I just want everybody to be aware of that. And the reason for the change is because J&J and Moderna or Pfizer are handled differently. And I believe it's Pfizer. Am I correct, Brian?
I don't know.
believe
Mary.
it's
Yes,
Pfizer.
yes,
I
yes.
believe that they will be receiving Pfizer. And so the issue with Pfizer vaccine is the cold, the temperature to keep it safe and to keep it stable. And so that's why they're changing the location from Howell Township location to Center State. So I wanted to mention that. I also wanted to mention that there is a Go Gold for the Girl Scouts. And so there are 2 Girl Scouts who are receiving, let me just get this. And, there are Marissa Brandon and Sarah Memon. They're both from Howell. Marissa is doing Kennels for Canines, and Sarah is doing Speak Up. And they both are receiving an award for the Gold Award project for the Girl Scouts. So ladies, God bless. Amazing, amazing, amazing. The ceremony is on June 9th. So if we can, to do like a proclamation for these ladies, I think they're amazing. It's just perfect and wonderful that they're doing that. I also wanted to talk about the trees. So seedlings will be available at DPW April 24th from 7:30 a.m. to 12:30. Currently, we have not received the list of the types of trees that we will be giving out. So if somebody else has that list, you can present it. If not, as soon as Shade Tree gets it, we will provide that list of the types of trees, and then we will share that with Howell Township. I also wanted to mention Matthew Goldfarb from Howell. So Matthew Goldfarb, we should be honoring Matthew. He has been awarded the Carnegie Medal for an extraordinary act of heroism. His brothers Jonathan and Matthew saved a man from drowning after he entered a partially frozen lake to retrieve a dog on the December 22nd, 2019 in Fairfield, Connecticut. So they went in not only to save a dog, but to save 2 people. And so I just want to say he lives in Howell and he's a Howell resident, and God bless Howell people. We know what we need to do to save lives. So thank you so much, Matthew, and your brothers, Jonathan, amazing, wonderful human beings. Thank you so much for doing that for us. I also wanted to mention there was an online submittal. Give me 2 seconds. I'm so sorry. I think I have that. Okay. The other thing that I wanted to mention was that the OEM update, I did that. I also wanted to mention that Ocean Health Initiatives and St. Veronica's will be having an event this Sunday. The event is for it's Sunday the 17th. It starts at 1:30. It's for 500 shots of Moderna. So that means you'll have to come back for a second shot. We're working with St. Veronica's, and Pastor P will be helping us. And so call in and we will be sending out the link. OHI will be sending out the link so that you can address it and then get your vaccine. I do believe at this point that I have, I think the rest of my stuff is for the agenda. So I would like to ask Deputy Mayor Russo, do you have anything to talk about?
Thank you, Mayor. 4 items. I stopped by. I know I was late. I had a work obligation, but I did stop by the event over in Town Hall, the vaccine event, and I got to see up close just how impressive OEM, Victor Cook, Brian, you were involved in this in our administration. It was very impressive. People were literally crying in the hallway, how happy they were to get their vaccine. It was really something, and to see it up close, it really was very impressive. So thank you for that. I'm sorry to my fellow council members for being late. I know Councilman Bonovich and Councilwoman Richmond O'Donnell were there, and I wish I could have been there, but unfortunately I couldn't make it. But I went to 2 successful fundraisers this weekend. One for the Adelphia Fire Company. It was a rib. They made ribs, rack of ribs. They sold out in like a couple hours.
Nice.
It was really delicious, and it was good. They do it every year. They're going to do it again in May, so get your orders in early. Adelphia, that was Adelphia Fire.
So
And
wait, I'm gonna ask Tommy,
Yeah.
what kind of ribs are they? Like St.
They were
Louis?
just-
Are they like?
I don't know what they put in. I don't know what they put in these ribs, but they were absolutely amazing. It was like an apple smoked rub. I mean,
Nice.
it was
Very
great.
nice.
It was great. So my wife and I had lunch for a couple of days. So the other event I went to was for the Howell First Aid Squad Cadets. It was a cupcake fundraiser. It was in the pouring rain. I drove by and I saw them outside with their signs. My wife and I stopped by with the dog. It was great. And they sold out too in a couple hours. So congratulations to them. I say this because if you can, to our township, folks in town, if you can help and support our first responders, our local organizations, they would really appreciate it. It's all over the internet. And if you ever have any questions about it, you can reach out to any one of us. One of us knows about it, odds are. So the Business Recovery Task Force, I personally have been so involved with the budget and keeping track with all that's going on with the vaccines that, we actually, I think we met a month ago. Our meeting is coming up, I believe, this week or next week. And you can actually log on and check out what we're doing. I will have a link to the survey for the property tax program up on my Facebook tonight. After the meeting, I'm going to post it up. If you know anybody who owns a business in town, please ask them if they could take a couple of minutes and just fill out the survey. We'd really appreciate it. We're looking to solicit some information from our local businesses, see if they'd be interested. So that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Bonovich?
I think you guys took everything from me. You know,
Sorry.
I'll just say it's all right, but you know, like you said, big shout out to our, I guess, our dispatchers, the unseen heroes of public safety. Is that we,
Absolutely.
you know, they answer the phone, they're always there for us, and they don't get enough recognition. So a big shout out to them. You mentioned the seedling giveaway, which is at the DPW garage. I would just add to that, maybe once we know what the seedlings are, they'll be posted on the Shade Trees Facebook page.
Yes.
Also back to the vaccines. You know, we're doing a great job. Victor Cook is killing it. He's working day and night. And the nightmare today, we all woke up with J&J being questionable. You know, the Surrey Downs event is still happening. That's going to be Moderna. The township event that was supposed to be Thursday is moved to Central State with Pfizer. So all these vaccines are being replaced with supplemented with the 2
Yes.
doses. So that's a lot of work, a lot of juggling, and everyone's
It's a
doing
lot.
great job. And then the church was stepping up, doing an event. Everyone's stepping up. So kudos to everyone. And I guess the other thing was I'll leave it for the discussion later, but all of us on council have been talking about bulk pickup, the emails coming every day. And I'm so happy that we're going to address that, expand the season, no longer from April to October, and give it a couple extra months. So we'll leave that for the discussion. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Thank you. Councilman Russo, the event that you spoke about was this time sponsored by the township. So again, I'm happy to say that, again, everybody's stepping up. Everybody's trying to bring as many vaccines into the town as possible. So hopefully, as we think, this could be a weekly event, assuming that the Johnson & Johnson debacle passes quickly, we should be in some pretty good shape. So let's hope. I would like to say, and it's with great sadness that I report that Ellen Bullock Johnson, who was the president of the Howell Township Board of Education, died in March. She served as president for 4 years. I was lucky to be her vice president. She became a very close friend of mine. I will say that unfortunately, her husband, who was Secret Service, died prior to her death. However, she does have 2 sons. Ellen was a very accomplished woman. Along with her PhD, she was the business administrator in Plainfield until her retirement. She was the president of the Administrators Association in North Jersey. And Howell Township Board of Education remembers her with great fond memories, I'm sure. So Godspeed to Ellen. Secondly, I wanted to speak about the Farmland Preservation Task Force. Presently has 3 applications that we're working on. So we're very hopeful that everything goes through quickly. However, I do know a year is not is usually a minimum to get these applications processed and fulfilled. So as we have 3 going on, the letters that we've sent out has brought in some more interest. So congratulations to Mr. Matt Howard, who's been assisting us all the way, and the Monmouth County Federation has been excellent with us. So the more that's added to our list as we go through these applications, I'll be happy to report. Also, some time ago, I had spoken to the council about the zoning board yearly end of the end of the year report the zoning board does every year. I would ask desperately that you read this report and that we bring in Chairman Wendell Nansen to speak with us briefly about some of the things that they feel could be addressed to make the process of zoning board and planning board run smoother. And when they run smoother, we run smoother. So
Have you shared those reports with
Actually,
everybody?
every year they put it on our website.
Right.
And they did again this year.
Right.
So if we look at this and we get some insight from that membership, I think it can only help guide us into a good territory. So please read it. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilwoman Richmond. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Thought I hit it already. Councilman Bonovich said that there was nothing left, but there was. The fire district elections are Tuesday, April 20th from 2 to 9. I know that we've shared it on a few of our Facebook Visiting Township for your district and to find out where you vote. It's important, no matter what the elections are, that we vote. That's important. Next week is National Volunteer Week. So I like to personally, on behalf of the council, thank you to all our volunteers in our community, from those who serve on boards, committees, volunteer firefighters, the volunteer EMS, all the coaches, any scout leaders, anybody involved in the PTO, and especially the young kids who get involved very early with volunteering to help others, and everyone who gives their time to make a difference. Their impact and importance is immeasurable. So everybody out there who takes a part in that, thank you very much. Enjoy next week. We should all be celebrated. A couple things I want to clear up. I want to give a special shout out to Jay Robinson from Central State and Sal Dr. Malay from Mayans the Doc. I know we kind of mentioned a couple of places, but on top of everybody else that's been banding together and working really hard, I have to say, when this J&J thing hit this morning, I had been at town hall and some of the Central State nurses were there, and kudos to everybody, because the first thing that they said was, what a great setup. They've been to many, many places and distributed vaccinations, a lot of places. But they said this was some setup, and I said we've done it enough times that we're starting to really perfect that. So kudos to everybody involved on that, Jay Robinson and Dr. Malay as well. Also, I wanted to bring up Howell Day. I know that everybody's been on the fence about doing it, not doing it. Last year obviously was a wash. I did email the manager and Lou to find out and Steve Fetcher, obviously, about the budget, where our numbers at. I had mentioned it to Councilman Bonovich briefly to find out where everybody's head was at. I think now's a good time than ever to maybe discuss what we're considering, if we are considering it. I think the people need a little reprieve, and when, where, how, and let's talk about it. Let's do something. Let's
do something. Let's do something. We've not done anything for over a year. For the residents in our town who are paying taxes, and we're accepting their taxes, but we're not doing anything for them. And I agree with you 1,000,000%.
Thank you. I with that said, and I want to proceed with caution here, because we are introducing. We are introducing a budget today. And I know a year or two ago, we had talked about doing away with fireworks because of the expense with the fireworks to clean up, DPW and police. So again, with a budget being introduced, I'm not one to just, arbitrarily spend our taxpayers' money. And so I just want to throw out there, see everybody's head is at and where we are in your thoughts.
So I would say that this could be part of the participatory budgeting. That if we take a piece of capital budget and we allow the townspeople to ask for what they want to happen in the town, I think this could be something. If they want us to have Howell Day, I think that would be fabulous. But again, it's capital budget, and I think that we should be participatory budgeting should be in the process. Our people pay a lot of money in taxes to live in Howell. Howell is very expensive to live. And I believe that they should have a right to decide on some of the money that we're spending on extra, I'm going to say extracurriculatory, budget items. And so in my mind, I would think that $250,000 from our capital budget should be, segregated so that we could have a couple of projects throughout the town. And that people in the town, that in all portions of the town, not just one section or the other, that we can do projects in all of those areas. I think that's, I think that shows, in my mind, that shows the people in the town that we care about what they want, not just what we think.
Councilwoman,
That's just my opinion.
Are you done with your report, Councilwoman?
Well, I was kind of looking to get a little dialogue together so we can give the manager a little direction. And not give Lou Palazzo a stroke as far as our discretionary spending. I know we can't see you, Lou, but my apologies, because I think, like I said, with this budget here, the discretionary and non-discretionary, I'm not looking to have you have an aneurysm anytime soon.
Well, my thoughts are simple. It's always the labor on the event that's so costly, and the hours of the labor. And if there is no fireworks, there's no labor the next day cleaning up. Maybe you cut the event a couple hours short. I mean, the fireworks is just not the cost of the fireworks. It adds on to the labor and hours. So that's
Right.
where my head's at.
You're absolutely right, Councilman. So because this might really be a 20-minute discussion, can we put this on the next agenda as a discussion item so that we can get some ideas out and
Yes.
and then we can have numbers from Lou by that point? And
Absolutely.
Councilwoman Richmond, thank you for bringing it up in such a timely fashion because now's the time to start putting this together.
Before we know it, it'll be here and we'll be like, what did we miss? One more thing, I wanted to know, and Manager Geegan, I think I remember sending an email out, so many going on. Our summer camps, I know people are asking about our summer camps. I know you're waiting for direction from the state, and I know people are starting to plan their summer staycations or whatever the case may be. And at that time, we hadn't had direction from the state. I know Steve Fetcher
Hi, Lou.
Steve Fetcher probably has aged a little bit trying to figure out how to start the planning. And I know the Board of Ed, we needed to reach out to them. So do you have a report for us for summer camps?
I have reached out to the Board of Education. They are looking into it if they are able to host us or not. I haven't gotten a definitive answer from them yet.
Okay.
So that's obviously a key factor in whether we can proceed or not.
Okay. And with that, thank you. I'm good.
Thank you,
Mayor.
Councilwoman.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I have one thing I did forget.
I'm sorry.
To
Your
mention.
time is done. You're
My
done.
fault.
I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding.
My fault for this one. My old wrestling coach, John Gagliano, hit his 500th win
That's right.
last week. And he's actually the first coach in short conference, I believe, history to do that. It's a big deal. He's right here in Howell. He's a Howell guy. He actually went to Howell High School. He was my coach. He coached many people before me and many great wrestlers and kids after me. So I really appreciate it. He's a big part of my childhood and young adult life. And I just want to say thank you, Coach. And I know he had a big impact in the program, the coaches, the assistant coaches, the parents, the wrestlers. Thank you all. Really appreciate it.
Great job. 500 wins.
Seriously. Brian,
Well, most things have
please
already been
enlighten
covered.
us.
Few things that weren't touched on regarding bulk pickup. They did start in Zone A on April 12th. They are taking reservations, so call into DPW if you have the need for a pickup. Brush pickup started in Zone F as in Frank on April 5th. They're currently finishing up in Zones H and I, and they've already decided that they will be doing a second round of collection. And everything else on my list has already been covered by everyone.
So what about the roads though? I mean, could we touch on that? Because I'm driving the roads and I'm like hitting my head on the seat, on the roof of my car on many roads.
No, that's,
So do we have a plan on, and a calendar plan?
Yes, as soon as we have the capital budget rolled out, community development will have a plan put together as to which roads will be prioritized for repairs.
Okay, so I'm just going to say that a lot of the roads that were done needed to be redone from other, not Howell, but from whomever was doing the roads. So are those roads being done?
Yes, those
Which roads
roads
are
have been
those?
waiting. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Which roads are those?
The water company roads, I don't have the list. I can certainly get it for you. They were waiting for the springtime for the weather to break, as we're finally at, and they should be scheduling it shortly. I'll have community development get a schedule from them and I'll forward it out to the governing body.
And please post that on the website so that people in the town know what's happening with their road changes.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. Mr. Clark, do you have anything for the discussion?
I do not.
Okay, so at this point, I think we need to bring on Jennifer Beam, Planning and Zoning Board Planner, for discussion.
Okay, Mayor, I'm moving Ms. Beam into the room now.
Thank you.
Hi, Jen. Welcome to the meeting.
Hi,
You want to,
Hi, Jennifer.
how are you?
Awesome. How are you?
I'm good. So I don't really have a presentation. I kind of made the presentation at the last council meeting. This was really more of an opportunity for you to ask questions.
Ms. Beam, you answered all my questions. I would just say at this point, once the work is done and we have all the information, that's when.
That's when the heavy lifting should start. So
Yeah.
without the information, it's hard to
Yeah, I
know
agree.
exactly what the
You answered
circumstances are
questions
gonna
I
be.
had with the conditional uses and stuff, and I agree with all,
Yep.
all your answers. So it's, let's get to work, and then you said the heavy lifting begins after that.
Exactly.
I just, again, I'm stuck on the budget. This was budgeted, correct? Manager Geegan,
Yes.
yes? This was budgeted. Okay, just want to
yes,
make.
there was
This
an
was-
approximate dollar amount included,
This was budgeted for how much?
30, right?
$35,000.
Yep,
35. So if it goes over 35, it will come back to the governing body, correct?
Yes, I doubt that it will go over that number, but if we run into circumstances, you will be made aware of it well in advance of before we hit that moment. I'm not gonna wait
Thank
until
you.
we hit that and then say, by the way, I can't do anything else. If I see some unforeseen issues that I think will create some extras, I would certainly bring it to the attention of, Matt and the manager, as well as Joe, in order to.
Well, I would say, respectfully, I would like that the governing body receives that information because we're the ones who should be making that decision.
And respectfully, when I tell your attorney and your manager, that's my avenue to get to you. So I would let them know to present you with the information. So I'm not trying to keep you out of the loop. I'm just trying to follow the chain of command.
Thank you.
I hear 25,000 in the future, right?
I did see an email, and I don't know if it was passed on to Ms. Beam from a resident. Could we just forward that to Ms. Beam and she could just, it's up, I don't know how you want to handle that.
Yeah, Sheila
Mayor,
sent the question in last minute.
What was that, Councilman? I'm sorry.
Sheila.
Yeah, was Hadi or something like that.
Yeah.
She had quite a few questions, so I didn't know if we were going to read that, Allison or manager, if we could just forward that and we could have her answer.
If you send me the email, I'll be happy to address the questions back to the manager to get back to the resident.
Yeah, and then if you can just make sure the council's on us, we're
Of
aware of
course.
what the responses are, we're up to date on that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep.
I just forwarded that email to you, Jen, so you have it.
Okay. So absent any questions, I don't really have anything else.
Thank you for your time. We
No
appreciate it.
worries. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
At this point, we have two proclamations. I would like to begin with one. And then the second one will bring on Krista. Okay, so I'll read the first one. So the proclamation of National Arbor Day is April 30th, 2021. Whereas in 1949, the legislature set aside the last Friday of April as Arbor Day to promote the planting of trees and encourage the protection of our forests from fires and pests that destroy the beauty and usefulness of our woodlands. And whereas half of New Jersey's total land area is forested or tree covered, and whereas trees play an important role in the ecosystem in which we live, and trees reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil caused by wind and water, clean the air that we breathe and the water that we drink. They produce oxygen and provide habitat for birds and wildlife and reduce heating and cooling costs by moderating temperature. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper for the fine literature, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees provide increased property value, enhanced economic viability, and pleasing aesthetic qualities along streets and properties in municipalities. And whereas trees planting in yards and farms, in schoolyards and parks, and along street highways creates an enduring heritage for generations that follow. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Teresa Berger, Mayor of Howell Township of Howell, on behalf of the Township Council, do hereby acknowledge and encourage observance of Arbor Day, April 30, 2021 in Howell Township, and urge all citizens to support efforts to support our trees and woodlands to support our township's urban forestry program. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden hearts and promote the well-being of future generations. So again, we have Arbor Day and Shade Tree has trees. We don't know which ones we're getting, but we will be getting them soon, and we'll let you know about that. The next proclamation is the Alcohol Awareness Month for April 2021. Whereas, according to 2019 National Survey on Drug Use and Health, about 15 million people in the US ages 12 and older had alcohol use disorder, including about 414,000 youth ages 12 to 17. And whereas out of these numbers, only 7.2% of people with alcohol use disorder received any treatment in the past year. And whereas in the same report, 4.2 million youth ages 12 to 20 reported binge drinking in the past month. And whereas the rate of all alcohol-related emergency department visits increased 47% between 2006 and 2014. Whereas alcohol contributes to approximately 18.5% of the emergency department visits and 22% of overdose visits related to prescription opioids. Whereas research indicates that alcohol use during teenage years can interfere with normal adolescent brain development, increase the risk of developing alcohol use disorder, and contribute to the range of negative consequences for youth, such as injuries, sexual assaults, alcohol overdose, motor vehicle crashes, homicide, suicide, and other causes of death. And in 2014, alcohol impairment driving fatalities accounted for 10,265 deaths in the United States. About 95,000 people in the United States die from alcohol-related causes annually, making alcohol the third leading preventable cause of death in the US. The Howell Alliance for Substance Abuse and Prevention and Mental Health Awareness remains committed to the community and community education, community awareness on the prevention and treatment of alcoholism, alcohol misuse, and underage drinking. Therefore, I, Teresa Berger, Mayor of Howell Township, on behalf of the council, do hereby proclaim April 2021 as Alcohol Awareness Month in the Township of Howell and commend the observance to its citizens. And I will say that this is a huge proclamation. I'm glad that we have, many township uses for people in our town. I'm not sure that we all know about those uses. I'm not sure that everybody in the town is aware that we support these processes, that we have programs that support alcoholism, drug abuse, and all these other processes. I know we're talking about a proclamation, but it's not just a proclamation. It's about people's lives and people's lives in our town. And we are here to help support you. Our police, our emergency services, we are all here to support you. If you have questions or needs, please contact them. This is not only about somebody in their 40s to 60s. This is about our kids, 15, 14, 13 to 20. We need to make sure that we're paying attention to our kids in the town and that we're supporting all the processes that will keep them safe and healthy. And so I look towards my council and my police department and my manager and everybody else involved. And I know that my PD is totally on board. And I believe that my council as well is on board. And so we are here to support all of these processes. And we are here to support our kids, because that's who's important for tomorrow, is our kids. And so I just want to say, you know, to the town and to all that we do, thank you. But I also want to say, Krista, please, are you there on the phone?
Mayor, if
I
I
don't
can, I was
see
trying
her.
to get a word in. I have Krista, I'll move her into the room now
Please.
for the benefit of the audience. Ms. Krista Riddle is our Municipal Alliance Coordinator. I'm moving her into the room now.
Thank you, Krista. And thank you, Brian.
You know, excuse me if I could, there's no one that works harder to get the word out, I think, about any abuse, alcohol or drug, depression, et cetera. It goes on forever with Krista Riddle. She is a force to be reckoned with in this town. She's at every event. She, you know, works with the seniors. She works with the PD. She works with schools. There's almost, I don't know when she sleeps, but she is truly an asset to this town. And that proclamation, you know, I thank you for that, because I know that that comes straight from your heart. So thank you.
I say, Councilwoman O'Donnell, 100% you are correct. And I thank Krista for doing all that she does. Seriously.
Thank you. It is my job, and I do take it very personally when it involves the lives of our community members, especially youth. So I want to thank our town leaders for their constant support of the Alliance, and through that, the well-being of our community. These have been difficult times with a lot of mental health and substance use concerns on the rise. So I just wanted to speak for a moment just to let everyone in our town know that if you need assistance or you have questions, you can call me. My number is 732-938-4500, extension 4012. I will always get back to you. You also can email me. Can be found on the Howell Township website under the departments. You can go to Alliance. There's my contact information. And then there are just a plethora of resources. If you need help, you struggle with alcoholism or substance use disorder or a mental health disorder, or you're concerned about someone else in your family or community or workplace, you should really head to the website, get the information you need, and then reach out to me. And there's anything from crisis lines on there to, you know, what if situations where you can find support. So thank you for your time. And if you want current information, you can follow the Alliance on Facebook. We have a group page, Friends of the Howell Alliance, and I update that several times a week. So thank you for your ongoing support, Council. I really appreciate it.
Krista, could I ask you, I'm sorry, Councilwoman, Krista, could I ask you if you could send the link? I would add it to my page.
Sure, I'll do that as soon as I leave the meeting. We'll absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. Councilwoman, please.
Thank you. I'm sorry, my camera was out and I wanted to elaborate on what the mayor and Councilwoman O'Donnell said. I talk to Krista quite often, and she's absolutely amazing. And I'm glad we were able to find a way to keep her here and help us, especially through now with my own child having some of her own issues. Krista's there and I appreciate that. And it's very close to my heart. So thank you for all you do. And anybody out there, I beg you and I plead with you, reach out to any of us here. We're all here and we can always give you some good direction. And thank you for working so hard. Greatly appreciated.
And I just want to say to our community, you know, we're very blessed in how we take a lot for granted, but when I go to county meetings, I realize that other towns are lagging in this area, and Howell is always complimented for the unified front that we provide for our community with substance use and mental health support. So we stand out in the county and probably in the state with that. So thank you.
Thank
you. Krista, also, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank you for your help with the task force, the Business Recovery Task Force, helping our business owners and our business managers too, who are going through difficult times right now. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that opportunity. I'm always here to collaborate. So thank you, everybody.
Good night, Krista. Thank you.
Thank you, Krista.
Night.
So at this point, there's this discussion on bulk pickup.
Go ahead, Councilman. Bonovich.
Oh, we already,
Let's go.
come on, Brian, let's go.
I've asked Paul Novello to do some research and put together some options for me. I should have that available for your next meeting to include the expected costs.
Thank you.
Can I add to that too? Because after we had that conversation, Councilman, the recycling was also an issue, and I know people probably think they go hand in hand. I did mention to Mr. Clark while the manager was away, as far as recycling, people were questioning being able to bring stuff to recycling. We know we need a different kind of license. Are we also looking into that, and will we be able to have some feedback for the residents at the next meeting?
Yes, I'll add that to my list. I
Great,
wasn't aware of that one.
Thank you.
Okay, so at this point, I would like to have the hearing of citizens and town business and agenda resolutions only. So if you have discussion for the consent agenda resolutions, please call in, or if you have already submitted your email request or discussion, please, let's move forward. Allison?
Okay, Mayor.
Oh, Brian, sorry.
Sorry.
It said Allison.
Go ahead, Alice.
I was just going to say that we did not receive any emailed comments or questions.
Okay. At this
Okay,
point,
now
then, I'm sorry.
I'll make the announcement to any members of the public that wish to address the governing body. Please use the raise your hand feature and I'll move you into the room. First up, we have Tina Smilek. Moving her into the room right now.
Hello, everybody. Hope you had a nice Easter.
Hi, thank you. Did you?
Nice and quiet. That's the way
Yes,
to be.
quite as good.
So just quick, I'm just going to say intro ordinance to take out warehouses. I like it. Please don't forget about the SED light zone with the warehouses that the planning board passed that doesn't meet the ordinances in the township. We want to make sure that's covered too. Also with the circulation plan, I was looking at the re-examination report from November 2019. The only thing I see on our re-examination plan, which they did go over the recirculation plan, is it calls for an amendment of terminology to ordinance 188-118E. That's all it asked for. It did spend a lot of time on areas of need of redevelopment or rehabilitation due to blight. It also spoke about environmental and our buffer zones not being where they should be. I think these are important areas. I don't know how you're putting this in order, but if you haven't looked at that re-examination for it from November 2019, please look at it. I'm really going to be quick today. Didn't want you to forget April 24th is the spring farmers market.
Yes.
Don't forget about that. It rained out last time, so it's rescheduled. And
yes.
Last but not least, Mayor Berger, Councilwoman Richmond, and Councilwoman O'Donnell, happy birthday month.
Ah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
So much.
Thank you. All right, have a good night, everybody.
Thank you, Tina. Brian?
Mayor, if you give me a moment, please.
No.
Next up, we have Barbara. I am moving into the room right now.
Hello, Mayor and Council.
Hi, Barbara.
Hi, regarding the roads that the water company did, and especially down, let's see, passing Oakland Development, I guess at Maxim Road or something, you can lose your tires and an engine on that road. So I mean, it's terrible, and we go that way to stay off Route 9. We absolutely go down there to get to the shopping centers to keep off Route 9. So please do whatever you can to get that road paved or get the water company to do what they need to do. Anyway, that's not one of the reasons why I am on here. Okay, I want to talk about a newspaper article from Asbury Park Press from April 12th. January, February, March, there have been vaccination sessions with OHI, organized by Office of Emergency Management, Howell. I'm reading in this newspaper that Joe Clark, the attorney for Howell Township, is requesting an ethics investigation of the mayor and OHI. I don't know what you're up to, Mr. Clark, but you're out of line. The mayor of Howell Township is saving lives. Evelyn O'Donnell, you're also saving lives with your going through the county. But 500,000 people have died. This woman is out day and night with OHI anywhere she can to save lives and give vaccinations. Why you are requesting an ethics violation of the mayor and OHI, I have no idea. But boy, am I going to find out with my own letters to state and federal. Believe me, I'm going to find out, and so are you. You're out of line, Mr. Clark. You don't have the right to do this. You should be thanking her and commending her for working day and night to try and save lives. It doesn't matter where it is, whether it's Howell Township or any other township in the state of New Jersey. She's out working. And Evelyn, I thank you also. I thank you for calling us the other day. No, we didn't need it. We were taken care of a long, long time ago when it all first started.
So let me ask you, Ms. Dixell, what newspaper was that article in?
Asbury Park Press, April 12th. The article is Ocean and Monmouth County today. How COVID vaccines scrutinized. State asked to rule on mayoral ethics. Really?
Which newspaper?
Asbury Park Press.
Okay, so let me be clear. No complaint's been filed. No letter's been written. I haven't asked for the state to investigate anybody. So all that happened, and Jesus, I mean, this is like the umpteenth time we're going through this. I have an issue with an elected official potentially benefiting from providing the vaccines in Howell. That's it. I've tried to work with the mayor to get an advisory opinion from the local advisory board. I've suggested she get one. It's as simple as that. There's no ethics complaint filed.
In
No
my
complaint
mind,
filed.
Brian, I have not violated any ethics issues. I'm doing my day job, and so I'm not going to investigate. If you want to investigate, that's on you. I'm not doing that.
But all I can tell you is my opinion is that this lady and OHI has been out trying to save lives. Instead of wasting your time and Howell Township money and upsetting citizens, requesting the state to do an ethics clearance on the mayor, put your money to paving roads. Do something else.
I just said that nobody asked the state anything, didn't I? Did I not just say that, Ms. Dixell? Did I not just say that I haven't
You
filed a
did, Brian,
complaint?
but you know what?
Did I
You're-
not just say that I haven't contacted the local finance board? I just said that I flagged an issue that I brought to the mayor's attention. It's as simple as that. I'm not wasting anybody's time or taxpayer money. If the mayor wants to ask for an advisory opinion, she's welcome to do that.
It says
She
the
wants to
township
cooperate with the
attorney,
township to
township
submit an
attorney
advisory opinion
wants the
request.
state
That's
local
another
ethics
story
board.
too. But nobody's wasting anybody's time and taxpayer money. I have a job to do. I'm doing it. I'm sorry you don't like it.
I'm not saying I don't like it. The township attorney wants the local state ethics finance board to weigh in on whether Mayor Berger violated her.
Barbara, can I say
local government.
something? Barbara, this is what I'm going to say.
This was sent in the newspaper. I'm reading it.
I know that, but this is what I'm going to say. I have multiple jobs. One of my jobs is to provide public health. I have tried, and I try to provide public health through the Department of New Jersey, the Health Department of New Jersey, to provide vaccines to anybody who needs them in the state. OHI has been doing that. In my personal opinion, if anybody on council, if anybody on the professionals wants to continue to investigate me on an ethics violation, I have no problem with that. I personally will accept any ethics violation and I will accept the handcuffs. But in my mind, my job is to protect the people that I serve. And whether it be Howell, Monmouth County, Ocean County, Middlesex, whatever it is. That's what I do in my day job. So if there's an issue on council, or if anybody has a problem with what I do in my day job.
I have a point of order. I really think that at
I'm
this point in
sorry, I'm
time,
not finished.
this is a
So
point of
I'm
order,
not-
and you don't have to be finished.
Your
It
point
is
of order
important
is
that at
not
the last
appropriate,
meeting,
Councilwoman.
you said that you weren't allowed to
Sorry.
talk about this legally. So
Sorry.
I think it's in everybody's interest.
I'm
not to
sorry,
talk
I'm
about it.
telling you, your point of order is not appropriate.
Oh, Mr. Clark?
I'm reading
Mr.
it what
Clark
the
has
town-
no control
point
I'm
of
over
order.
reading in the newspaper. It says the township attorney.
I'd like to ask for a 10-minute recess.
Excuse me, I have a
Control
second
is on me. And
We
take
have a second-
control.
Roll
I am
call,
telling
please.
you
There's a
that
motion.
that, I'm
All I'm
sorry.
reading it was a
Roll call,
newspaper
please.
article.
I asked for a 10-minute.
And I second it.
At this point, I've muted everybody. We're going to take a 10-minute recess based on the motion and the second, and we'll try and resume a civil meeting.
I'm reading the newspaper article. Yeah. Okay. It's a 10-minute recess.
But I honestly have to say, if we were gonna call with a resident, very, very inappropriate. If a person is on the call, I cannot see how you're taking a 10-minute break. Somebody keeps shutting me off. But I am gonna say it
Mayor,
again
I've
and
muted
again and
everybody.
again.
Mayor, I've muted everybody based on the motion for a recess and a second.
But I am telling you, Brian, if someone is on the call, you can't shut the call down if someone is on the call.
Mayor, I will say once again, I've muted you based on a 10-minute recess that was called for and a second, with everyone screaming over each other, the lack of civility, nobody can be heard. Okay, as soon as we have everyone back in the room, we can resume the meeting.
Is Mr. Dixell still in the room?
Who? I'm sorry, say that again, Mr. Bonner?
Dixell still in the room?
No, not at the moment. We'll need a motion and a second to reopen the meeting.
I'll make a motion to reopen the meeting and bring Ms. Dixell back in.
I second.
Okay, hold on just a second. I'm moving Ms. Dixell back into the room so she can finish her comments.
Ms. Dixell, we're
We
sorry
were over
about
5
that.
minutes, just so you know, for Mrs. Dixell.
Ms. Dixell, we're all sorry about that. Just finish reading what you're reading, and council, let's move on. Let's get to this consent. Let's move along.
Yes. Ms. Dixell, you're muted. Ms. Dixell, you're muted. There you go. There you go.
Thank you very much. I'm simply reading what's printed in the Asbury Park Press. I make nothing up. I'm making not my own opinion, not nothing. This is printed in the Asbury Park Press, April 12th. Get the paper and read it. That's all. Everybody has a right to their job. Everybody has a right to do what they're doing. I absolutely commend the mayor for working overnight and backwards and whatever to save lives. I thank Evelyn O'Donnell for what she's doing with the state or whatever it is, with the OEM or through the state and the senior center. Fine. Everybody worked to save lives. We need to save them. People are dying from this epidemic. Now you got the variants coming along that they say is just as contagious, if not more so, than the COVID. And I think we need to really stay on top of everything, no matter what it takes. And that's all I'm saying. You want to read it, April 12th. Monmouth, Ocean, Monmouth, and that's it. Howell, COVID, vaccines, scrutinized. Get it and read it. It's interesting. That's all I'm questioning is why the township attorney requested the local finance board to look into whether the mayor violated ethics or something. That's very disturbing, and I think people in Howell Township should be very upset. Hello?
We're here.
Okay,
Okay, that's all.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving Ms. Dixell out. Next, I have Rob Nicastro that I'm moving into the room.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just calling in because, and I don't even know if it's the appropriate time. I know you do an introduction of budget. I overlooked the budget, and I've heard the mayor say that, spending $250,000 to have people participate. This is just the time I think that people should participate. One of the questions I have, as the council prides itself as being fiscally responsible, I've noticed in the budget, they're hiring new hirees. This is not about any individuals. I looked at the hiring of the EMTs. I believe that's a wash because we do billing, and the cost of those EMTs will be a wash based on what revenue we generate through the EMS program. The police officer is a wash. It's probably replacing a retiree. And then we have a full-time OEM coordinator. Speaking from the standpoint of being a deputy coordinator for many years in Howell, it just behooves me as to why we would move from a stipend to a full-time OEM coordinator. As the deputy, we dealt with Sandy, Irene, snow blizzards. You're moving a position that now stipends at $7,500 to $55,000. And then, assuming whoever gets the position, if it's the current OEM coordinator, you're going to have to replace that position for the current job they're doing, or there'll be a lack of service, however the council decides to do that. But I just think that, if this is based on COVID's going to end. We've had many emergencies before. There's been many OEM coordinators. There's a full-time OEM coordinator at the county. It just doesn't seem fiscally responsible to do something like that. You're adding almost $50,000 into the budget for this position. And quite honestly, I think it's going to create more bureaucracy. Eventually, maybe a secretary will be needed. I just say, guys, look at this, ask the questions, and is this really a need versus just maybe a want? Everybody's doing a great job. Past OEM coordinators did great jobs. We've all dealt with challenges and many emergencies and crises in this town. I named a few. We had the flooding at Moore's Landing. We dealt with Blue Acres, all the writings. We all did it. Many of us did it without even a stipend. So I just don't think this is fiscally responsible for the council to consider another position in this town when everybody's looking to make cuts. You guys having aggressive ideas, bringing back bulk. There's all these costs to it. You could only use one fix, generating revenues like surplus for only so long before you're going to start hitting the taxpayers with even more taxes. So just look at that, and that's an opinion from somebody who served in those positions. That's all I got.
So,
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Castro, thank you so much for chiming in. But what I would like to say, to your point, is that the current OEM, Victor Cook, has brought in over $417,000 to the town. And so he's written grants. I've worked on grants with him. And if he could bring in $417,000, and there's another $650, which we're not really sure how much out of that $650 we're going to be receiving for OEM. But in my opinion, at this point, he has paid for his salary. And I believe that for us to be negligent in trying to keep these grants moving forward is a mistake. So I totally respect your opinion, Deputy Mayor Nicastro, and I work with you. But I do have to say that for someone to bring in 417, it's closer to almost 600. I think that that's a positive for our town. I think that we should keep that person to continue those grants. That's just my opinion. But thank you, Deputy Mayor.
No doubt, Mayor, that grants are good. They're not always there to count on. As you know, grants come and go based on state and federal, monies. We've all done the grants before, but now don't forget, you're now going to have to hire another employee to replace that current position. So,
Excuse me, it's been 5 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you, Allison.
Just opinion and.
Again, Mr. Nicastro, I get what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, but sometimes you don't always have to hire somebody because you promoted somebody. So I'm just, as somebody who's, in 300 employees, I hear what you're saying, but it's not necessarily always that route. But I so much appreciate your input. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night, Mayor. Good
You
seeing you.
too, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, next I have Mr. Thomas Brennan moving into the room now.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
Thomas Brennan, 59 Camelot Drive. And first off, I just wanted to thank everyone on the council for working hard to provide residents access to vaccines, including Mayor Berger and Councilman Bonovich for using their resources at OHI to bring vaccines into the town. I am sad to hear that OHI has paused their vaccine rollout in the township. I read that there is a pending ethical investigation into OHI in the township, but I recall Mayor Berger saying at a council meeting that she received an advisory opinion from the local finance board and even went to the governor on the matter. So my question is, why did OHI stop providing vaccines if Mayor Berger took the proper steps to make sure there was no conflict of interest?
OHI did not stop the vaccines.
This is my time.
OHI provided the vaccines for all the residents that applied.
Okay. So why is it even necessary to spend taxpayer dollars on the ethics investigation if Mayor Berger took the necessary steps?
I have the same question, Mr. Brennan. I have the exact same question. So that question is not for me. It's for, I guess, whomever inquired. And according to Mr. Clark, it was Councilwoman Richmond.
This is my
But
time.
according to Councilwoman Richmond, it was Mr. Clark, so I'm not quite sure.
Excuse me, Mayor Berger, this is my time.
Sure.
Thank you. But why did is OHI continuing to provide vaccines through the town?
Absolutely. We'll be providing a vaccine on the 17th at St. Veronica's for 500 people in Howell. They have to apply as any other person. They have to submit their application. They have to put in their information on the website, and we will absolutely vaccinate them. We have no problem with doing that.
Is that through the town, or is that through St. Veronica's then?
So it's not through the town because OHI is working with all townships.
But I
So
thought,
OHI is working with Howell Township, with Neptune, with Freeholds, and all the other townships. So Howell and OHI is working directly with St. Veronica's. It is a private event with St. Veronica's, but the event is for anybody in Howell that wants to apply. It's for Howell people to apply.
but is it true that OHI was providing vaccines through the township in the past, but is no longer doing it? Like, do you have any events planned through the
No,
township?
that is not true. OHI provides events for OHI.
Was it ever held at like a township building?
We worked with the township manager and asked to provide vaccines for Howell residents. Similarly to ChemEd or any other organization that worked with the township to provide vaccines. OHI did that. And OHI is still willing to do that, no matter what anybody says about any ethics violations against me. I, as CEO, have worked with the board of directors of OHI, and they are more than willing to provide any vaccines that are needed. So no, there is no conflict with OHI to provide vaccines to anybody in a Howell,
Do you
in
think there's no
Neptune,
conflict?
or any other town.
Do you have the advisory opinion?
Do I have the advisory? No, I didn't. I did not seek the advisory opinion.
You said in prior meetings that you had received.
I did not. What I said was I spoke to the township, to the governor's office. That's what I said. I never said I had the opinion. I don't need the opinion. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm providing vaccines for people that need vaccines. So in my opinion, and in anybody else's opinion who I've spoken to with the Department of Health and anyone else, there is no issue. If you have an issue with me providing vaccines for seniors or anybody else in the town, please address it to me. I'd be more than happy to talk to you about it.
No,
But
I think
vaccines
it's
in my mind are the #1 priority. Vaccine is the #1 priority since we have not gotten many in Howell. But please, I'm sorry, continue.
Are we, or is Mayor Berger, is OHI continuing to provide vaccines on township property as they have done in the past?
OHI provided one event on Howell Township. They provided the second event because that was the second vaccine. OHI works with every township.
So,
I'm sorry. OHI works in all townships with synagogues, with churches, with schools, with individual organizations. I'm sorry. You asked the question. I'm answering your question, sir. If you don't want to hear the answer, then don't ask another question.
It's Mayor Berger, it's just that
I'm answering your question. And what I am saying is OHI has worked with 15 areas in New Jersey.
Mayor Berger.
And we continue, OHI continues to provide COVID vaccines for people in need. So what is your question, sir?
Mayor Berger, my question is, will OHI continue to provide vaccines through the Township of Howell as they have done in the past.
So at this point, the Township of Howell seems to feel that it is an ethical violation. So I'm saying for the Township of Howell, continue to move forward with your ethical violation. For me, I'm sorry, sir, I'm answering your question. So don't interrupt me. For Teresa Berger, CEO of OHI, for Teresa Berger, Mayor of Howell, I have two commitments. One, my commitment for OHI is to ensure that I provide health care to people in need. Two, as mayor, is to ensure that if there is health care available or something available for the township, that I get that, I make sure that we get that for the town. So I'm saying to you, sir, OHI will continue to support all towns. And OHI is having an event on the 17th at St. Veronica's. St. Veronica's and OHI is providing a joint event, which is for anybody who wants to apply.
Mayor Berger,
I'm hoping that the Howell Township, that Howell people will apply because we're having it in Howell. Please continue.
Excuse me, I don't know if you heard me before, but it's went over 5 minutes.
Oh, so I'm sorry, that needs to be a vote.
Can I request more time?
No, you can. It's up to the council.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to request to provide more time.
Of course.
Is there a second?
I'll second,
Of course.
as I did
Please
every other
continue.
time.
Right, point of order. Okay, Joe Clark, excuse me.
Tom,
Mr.
please
Clark. No,
continue.
point of order, Mayor. We're not going to do this again.
Point
You've
of
been
order, there's no
interrupting.
point of
You
order,
have-
Councilwoman.
excuse me,
Councilwoman, there's no point of order. The man asked for extension, you gave extension, I'm
No,
asking what he
Mayor,
wants.
see, this is where the problem starts because you.
This
can-
is where,
Okay.
Councilwoman, I can
would like to
stop
request
the
another
meeting
5-minute
at this
recess until the
point.
I'll second that
I
motion.
can stop
you.
the
5 minutes,
meeting at
please.
this point,
Thank you.
or I can allow.
We will be taking a 5-minute recess based on the motion and a second. soon as everyone is ready, we can resume the meeting with a motion and a second.
Thank you.
We're awaiting the mayor and the deputy mayor to rejoin the meeting. We'll give it a moment or two, but we have a quorum present.
I'm here.
They will need a motion and a second to resume.
I'll make a motion to resume.
Second.
Second, I'm sorry, Joan.
All right.
Did we get a vote on Mr. Brennan returning? We did, right? I'm giving him the extra time. Did we finish the vote?
There was a motion and a second. There was no vote.
Okay. Does Allison have to take a vote, roll call?
We haven't done it for the others.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, so I guess you can continue.
Okay, Mr. Brennan, you can resume with your comments, please.
So my question really is, and Mayor Berger, before being interrupted, I would just like to finish my question completely, and then we can move on with the meeting. But my question is, why is OHI no longer providing vaccines through the township? This is not about St. Veronica's. It's not about private organizations or other towns. If you received approval from the governor, why can't vaccines continue to be distributed through the township of Howell, specifically Howell? And if you really believe there's no ethics violation, why stop?
So I would more than be happy to answer your question. OHI works. This was a totally different than any other event that we have had. OHI worked with the township, with OEM, because OEM was looking for people to vaccinate people in Howell. They had ComEd, they had Center State, and I said, why not OHI? And the town manager said, why not? Sure, you could do that. You could do OHI. And so we did vaccines. So I'm going to tell you, Mr. Brennan, I've answered this question multiple times. OHI has provided the first and second vaccine that they had to provide in the first round. OHI is providing additional vaccines on the 17th. There will be 500 Moderna vaccines. Whether it is with Howell Township, Neptune Township, Freehold Township, I'm sorry, Mr. Brennan, I'm speaking. It doesn't matter it's not about the township, it's about the people. We have worked with churches, I'm gonna say it again, churches, synagogues, municipalities. OHI has worked with all different organizations to provide immunizations. OHI is willing and is providing immunizations for Howell on the 17th at St. Veronica's. I don't know how many times I need to repeat that to you, Mr. Brennan, but that's what's happening.
Okay, Mayor Berger.
Please.
Unfortunately, that just wasn't the question I was asking. My question was.
What is the question?
It's specifically about providing vaccines through the township, not through St. Veronica's, not through private organizations, through the township.
If I can interject here for a moment, the township is not providing any vaccines, just as a point of clarification. We are merely providing a location to allow other vendors to provide vaccinations.
Thank you, Brian.
So I just want to clarify that we are not giving vaccinations from the town.
So will OHI use the location provided by the town to continue providing vaccines? My question.
Mr. Brennan, I just said, and I repeatedly have said, that there will be 500 vaccines on Sunday, the 17th for Howell residents. I'm not quite sure what you're not understanding about that statement, but that's the statement.
It's
Is
been 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I am moving Mr. Brennan out of the room. Again, any members of the public that wish to address the governing body, please raise your hand. I have Miss Tina Smilek moving back into the room again. Ms. Smilek, you're in the room and can address the governing.
Sorry, I just want to know, quick question. Where is the budget posted? Because I didn't realize that the residents were allowed to see the budget before it was introed.
I had that similar question. I mean, it's not publicized yet, so
No.
that know about salary amounts and hires. I mean, that's something's not right there.
Anybody?
That's correct. The budget has not been posted.
Correct.
Okay, so how does a resident get that? Somebody must have gave it to a resident.
Interesting.
Can't answer that. I'll tell you that it'll be published upon introduction.
Well, I would like to say that this should be researched and something should be done, because it's not supposed, if one resident gets it, we should all get it before.
Agreed.
I would like to ask
Absolutely
questions
agree
on
with
the
you,
budget
Tina.
too. I'm just upset. I think there needs to be an investigation into how that was leaked. and who
Well,
leaked it.
if that's the case, then I absolutely agree, because
I
I'm going to
agree.
tell you, I so clearly remember Councilman Walsh was so staunch on any information leaving the executive committee. So if any information leaving the executive committee, I'm going to say on his behalf, it should be investigated.
Excuse me, wasn't there a budget hearing last Monday, and wasn't this brought up in the budget hearing with the OEM and the police department?
Yes.
Just to be clear, so if anybody watched the budget hearing, I'm pretty sure you could have
Absolutely.
information from that, just to make, just to be
But there
clear.
might,
Not
there's
that
other
detailed.
information she's talking about.
That's all I wanted to know. I don't want to fight. I just want to know.
Okay.
I would have loved to see the budget. Okay, thank you. I
You're
don't
welcome.
want
Thank you.
fighting, please.
Thank you.
Okay. We have consent agenda. Brian, do we have any other people not waiting to speak? Was that a no?
No, Mayor, there's
you,
nobody
sir.
with their hand.
Okay, we have consent agenda resolutions, R21-131 through R21-139. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve those resolutions excluding R21138, which has been withdrawn.
Second,
Thank you. Second,
I'll second.
thank you.
Roll call, Mr. Bonovich,
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donnell,
Yes.
Ms. Richmond,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Russo,
Abstain.
Mayor Burr,
Yes.
Excuse me, while we're at, Councilman Debbie Mayor Russo, can you let us know why you're abstaining? Do you have a conflict with something there?
That's his choice.
Well, an abstention is a.
But it's
is a
his
conflict.
choice.
You know,
Why would we not pull one out in particular?
But it's his
you can
choice.
peel out one of the
Mayor, I'm talking to
resolutions.
Deputy Mayor.
I'm sorry.
Joe
But
Clark.
I will tell you, in the past, when I and Councilman Bonovich did not want
You pulled it,
one item,
you pulled it
and
out.
we asked for the resolution to be, on the motion to be changed, and it was not.
But Mayor, I'm asking Deputy, if there was one resolution that we could kind of figure out what it is, if it's a conflict, or he just, I think the public's entitled to know that.
Okay.
I have, thank you.
Let's be fair.
Thank you both. I was going to mention this before, but it was difficult to speak. I have a potential conflict with R21-136. If we can pull that out, I'd like to abstain to that one. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Deputy Mayor. I just wanted to know which one in particular so we can address that. That's all.
just, I will withdraw my motion and whatever, if you want to read, if you need the vote to be redone, Councilman Russo?
Sure.
I withdraw my motion of RA, I'm sorry, to R21-138.
R21-131.
Excluding R21-138.
I'm
Vote.
sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing everyone. It just keeps cutting
So
in and
this
out.
is, I believe, Allison, this is what is the change. Please correct me if I am wrong. I believe the request was to change R21-131 through R21-139 minus R21-138.
And
138. Is that
138.
right?
6 and 8, yeah.
6 and 8?
Allison, would you like me to redo this?
No, that's right. It's-
Okay. I'm pulling out R21-136 as well as R21-138.
138.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Okay. So, okay. Sorry, bear with me just a minute. Okay, and then, all right, so, roll call, Councilman Bonovich,
John?
Yes, I said yes.
anyone?
John said yes. Keep
Okay,
going.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Councilwoman Richmond?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Russo?
Yes.
Mayor Burke?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve 21-136.
Is there a second?
Oh, we just voted. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll second on that.
Okay, roll call, Councilman Bonovich,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Councilwoman Richmond,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Russo,
Abstain.
Mayor Berger?
Yes.
Thank you.
And then the other one is 138, correct?
138
Those-
was removed from the agenda.
Okay. I'm just trying to go down. Okay. So at this point that we are at the non-consent resolution requiring separate vote, correct?
Are those the appointments, Mayor, right? To the green team and to the lake? Yeah.
No, I think at this point,
Yep.
so we're at 11 or R21, non-consent resolution requiring separate vote.
Yes, those are
Yes.
the authorizations.
Yes.
Point. of
Yes.
appointment. Yes, okay.
So authorizing appointment to municipal green team.
Yes. So before we continue, Mayor, we had a resignation, Lauren Roth. She was on both committees. She relocated, she moved. So thank you for your services. And with that said, I would like to make a motion to appoint Stanley Korach. I'm sorry if I butchered that, to the municipal green team.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call, Councilman Bonovich,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Councilwoman Richmond,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Russo,
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
No. Authorizing appointment to Lake Restoration and Wildlife Management Committee.
I'll make a motion to appoint Michael Bogdan to the Lake Restoration Wildlife Management Committee, replacing Ms. Roth.
I'll second.
roll,
Yes.
Councilman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Councilwoman Richmond,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Russo,
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
No. Public hearing and adoption for ordinances. Introduction of ordinance 0-21-9.
Okay.
Here's part of the problem is that I'm on a different computer and I cannot read the ordinances because I can't get into my husband's computer. I'm so sorry. So who can read? We'll open it up for adoption.
I can read it.
And then we could do the introduction.
Hang on one second. Okay,
Public hearing, yes?
there's no public hearing, 'cause, it's just for introduction.
So then the introduction of ordinances, please call for 0-21-9.
Okay, may I have a motion to introduce ordinance number 021-9 on first reading by title to order the same to be published in the 4/16/21 issue of the Asbury Park Press, together with notice of its introduction and passage on first reading by title, and that it will be further considered for final passage after public hearing at a meeting of the Township Council to be held on 4/27/21 at 7 p.m. prevailing time in the municipal building, tentatively via Zoom.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second,
Roll call, Councilman Bonovich,
yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes,
Councilwoman Richmond,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Russo,
Yes, yes.
Mayor Berger.
Yes,
Thank you. Okay. Next we have,
0-21-10. Amend chapter 188-79, section B, entitled Special Economic Development Permitted Uses.
may I have a
Allison?
motion to introduce ordinance number 021-10 on first reading by title and to order the same to be published in the 4/16/21 issue of the Asbury Park Press, together with notice of its introduction and passage on first reading by title, and that it will be further considered for final passage after public hearing at a meeting of the Township Council to be held on 4/27/21 at 7 p.m. prevailing time in the municipal building, tentatively via Zoom. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Roll call, Mr. Fitch,
yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
yes,
Councilwoman Richmond,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Russo,
Yes,
Mayor Berger.
Yes. 2021 municipal budget. Budget. I said budget. It's budget. There are municipal budget items, but we will not be discussing them this evening. Is that correct, Brian?
No, Mayor, I have a presentation ready to go to introduce
Okay,
the
go ahead.
budget. I will comment that there's a few things that have changed since this presentation was made based on some information from governing body members yesterday. You give me a moment. I'm going to share my screen here. Sorry about this. Hold on just a moment. Okay, is everyone able to see this?
yes.
Yep.
Yes.
All right, moving on. I'll try and get through this quickly since we've all been here all night. Just to review the process so far as the work that's been done on the budget. Department heads begin working on their budget in the summer and early fall of last year. They present their submissions to myself and the CFO. In November of last year, we had public hearings with department heads where they got to present their budget requests for the following year. We started reviewing all the documents that they submitted to support their requests. We had to wait until the year closed out with our final numbers. Obviously, 2020 being an unusual year. Saying that word that we don't need to repeat anymore, 'cause I think everyone's sick of it. Just a few weeks ago, we did have a public hearing at the request of the governing body, which 3 of the department heads presented their budgets to the governing body. And there were some reductions made at that point. And then I understand yesterday there was some further requests made. To start our budget, we need to go over some of the revenue, the side of things, the money that the town has brought in so far. Going over last year's numbers, we had used $6 million in surplus towards that budget. We had anticipated 5.7 million, and we actually realized 6.1 million. So I don't need to read through each of these numbers. Everyone can see them. But at the end of the day, where we anticipated 54 million, just over 54 million in revenue, we realized just under 56 million. So in spite of things and the bleak outlook a year ago in March, things definitely panned out as the year progressed. As far as our current fund, the current status of our surplus, last year we began with $10.8 million. As I said, we used 6 million towards last year's budget, leaving us 4.8. The amount we regenerated brought us to 10.5 million as of the end of last year. Included in my proposed budget for this year, I'm proposing that we use $6.6 million. Just to go over the collection of our taxes, the total tax levy, and what our total tax collections were for the year. We did see a very small decrease of 0.21%, which under the circumstances, I think is remarkable. A year ago, we were expecting a huge drop in those numbers to be definitely more drastic. Okay, our finalized budget for the year, including the Chapter 159 insertions, which are the grants that we generate throughout the year and modify the budget with, was 54 million. Through cutbacks in spending throughout the year, we only spent 51.2 million. A lot of that is, there's various things that's attributed to, namely like the senior center. They had a lot of programs planned that unfortunately we couldn't implement. We are continuing to put them in this year's budget because we're hoping to return to normal as quickly as possible. Just some information about the budget. It's single most important responsibility of the town council, the manager, and the CFO. As a reminder to everyone, this presentation is for the municipal portion of the taxes. Although the town collects taxes for all other entities, we kind of get blamed for everyone's tax rates. However, we are coming in at just over 16% of the homeowner's total tax bill. Again, I'll get to that in a later slide. But for everyone's benefit, to calculate the tax rate, the municipality calculates the total cost of our services. That would be the budget, less than any offsetting revenues such as grants, user fees, money borrowed, or money transferred from reserves. And that gives us the amount to be raised by taxes. That amount is divided by the total assessment of the municipality. And that's how we come up with our tax rate. So here's some information about where we were at. Sorry, I'm flipping through my notes here, get caught up. As far as what has been adopted from 2020 to the 2021 proposed, there is a $1.3 million increase in spending. I'll break that down in a later slide. The anticipated revenues that we are counting on are $631,623. And the amount to be raised by taxation is an increase. I'm sorry, that last number was an increase in our revenues of 631,000. Additionally, the amount to be raised by taxation, there's an increase of 671,000. That is one of the most significant changes in the budget that we're actually going to introduce. I've received direction that they wanted the amount, the governing body wanted the amount to be raised by taxation to be flattened. So to accomplish that, we are going to be using more surplus money, and hopefully that will be an allowable use to be replenished once we get the recovery money from the federal government, which we're still awaiting some guidance from them how that can be used. To break down some of our spending, there's an increase in salaries of just over $500,000. Non-discretionary other expenses are the $923,000, and then discretionary other is actually only $16,000. That's where the net increase of $1.3 million comes from, or 2.3% increase in spending. To go over some of our salaries, this is a breakdown. A lot of these are contractual obligations. Although this says reserved for PBA contract settlement, that was a total amount for PBA and SOA. The PBA contract has been resolved. The SOA contract has not yet been resolved. There are 4 new employees, full-time employees included in this budget. That would be 2 full-time EMTs to continue to grow that program. You may recall I recommended this last year. We're having a hard time with retention as EMTs are leaving for other towns that offer full-time opportunities. The council did allow several to be hired full-time last year, and I'm continuing to recommend that we grow this program slowly over the next few years. Additionally, as discussed previously, making the recommendation to make a full-time OEM coordinator. This request has been brought up in the past, and I have rejected it in prior budgets. However, I do feel it's warranted under the current circumstances.
Brian?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I would like to add to that. You know, I took a look at some of the monies that the position has brought in, and it's a good amount of money that we brought into the town. And so I think that the offset benefits the town. I mean, it's a lot of money. We're talking about a couple of $100,000. So I mean, for $50,000 or $55,000 that we're paying him, but if he brings, in grants, if he could bring in $300,000 or $400,000, I think that that's a warranted position just for the grant piece itself. That's just me speaking.
Brian, may I elaborate on, I have a question regarding what the mayor is just saying. So you're saying that there's $630,000 that is grants. Are these grants that are reimbursements, or are these grants that are revenue? Lou, or whoever can answer that?
That was the mayor's statement. So
okay.
Perhaps you'd like to elaborate on that?
Mayor, if you wouldn't mind answering that.
I was just taking a look. Yes, so give me 2 seconds and I will.
I'm sorry, I can't see you on this screen, so I apologize, Mayor.
I know, I can't, I could see you because you're talking, but after that, I can't see anything.
Yeah. Okay, so
just give me 2 seconds. I have a whole, I have a piece here. Just give me a second. I'm sorry, Pam.
Well, let me chime in there real quick.
Please.
It was mentioned it was 55,000, but we get a $10,000 grant towards that, so it's 45,000. Between the 2 tropical storms that we had, FEMA, the grants that OEM Victor Cook wrote up, we got like $500,000 back. So, I mean, there's a lot of work. I mean.
And I appreciate that, Councilman, but what I'm saying is, while they're grants, you're saying they're offsetting, their grants reimbursing monies that has been used for obviously OEM, right? So they're like,
yeah, but if he didn't apply for the grants, then we wouldn't have gotten them.
Well,
nobody applied for them.
But we can't say that it's generated revenue when it's really it's reimbursement of monies that we put out, and now we're getting
it is reimbursement. But the point is that we would not gotten the reimbursement back if he didn't apply for it.
Listen, I understand that. I just want to give all the information out there that.
Agreed. No, totally agreed. But at the end of the day, if you have a grant, that's what the grant is for, right?
Right,
You have
but
the grant and
I
you
just wanna-
apply for those processes, but there are people that have to write the grant and people have to, accommodate for all of the recommendations on the grant. So, it's not a simple job.
And I'm not saying that it is. I just want to be clear that this is not generated revenue, that this is just a reimbursement. So, but before this, who wrote the grants prior to this? And I don't know if you know that, Mayor. So if the manager.
So I did a grant with Victor actually, and we brought in over $200,000 for,
I mean, before COVID. I mean, before that.
No, during COVID, the beginning of COVID.
No, I'm saying
sorry,
prior to COVID, who wrote the grants?
I can answer that.
So
Yeah.
Victor wrote
Councilwoman
the
Richmond.
grant.
Yes, the OEM coordinator generally handles those FEMA reimbursements.
Correct.
Yes, it is a reimbursement grant. It's for costs that the town has outlaid for various storms or weather events, things like that, that FEMA is so designated. So yes, a lot of it is reimbursement grants. There are some other grants that he has pursued. I will tell you for the last year, the OEM coordinator, it's currently a stipend position. The person holding that is a full-time code enforcement officer. With the onset of COVID, I had temporarily reassigned him to full-time OEM duties, which he has been doing since. And again, that's part of the reason for my recommendation. The amount of work that has gone through that office this past year is an enormous
Huge.
amount.
It's huge.
And I don't see it subsiding in the near future. Whether this will continue years into the future, I don't know. That's part of the constant evaluation that's done to see if that's still warranted. As I said, it's come up in previous budgets. I did not include it because I didn't feel it was warranted. Right now, I do. In the future, it may no longer be warranted again, but.
What happens when COVID is over? What happens to that?
You just end the position if it's not needed.
So then our OEM coordinators out of a job?
I would say, this is, once in every 100 years is a pandemic, right? So this is like a provisional type of position. We might need it for, the pandemic's not over. We might need it for another 2 years. So, it doesn't have to be a 5-year, or it doesn't have to be there forever. But right now, I feel we need it. And I know you brought up the grants, but there's other things like hazardous spills and all that.
Absolutely.
Money comes into the town. I mean, I guarantee you, he does probably $30,000-$40,000 in just like hazardous spills and things like that, or fires and Victor's. The OEM
He's
is
brought in $417,000.
I'm saying
on the stuff that he's worked on.
I'm saying outside of the grants.
But the point is, though, if he didn't apply, we wouldn't get it.
Correct.
Right. But my question is, what happens when it's over? Is Victor out of a job? I mean, we have deputy.
No, I don't think that he's out of a job, because I don't think that OEM is never going to be out of a job, unfortunately, in my mind.
Well, but we've had hazardous spills, we've had fires in the past. We have deputy OEMs. We also have a coordinator. I'm just saying that, yes, right now with COVID, but we've had other, and Mr. Nicastro had alluded to that in the past, we've had other emergencies as well and we have our deputy OEMs, and we have our head coordinator, Victor Cook. This has nothing to do with Victor Cook. Victor Cook's doing an outstanding job. I'm just saying, for this to go away in 2 years or 3 years, Victor then has to look back and wonder, where he's going to be if.
Well, you know what, in my mind, if the position is warranted now, and Victor knows that it's warranted now, we all know that it's warranted now, because there's a problem. We need somebody to coordinate. So I believe that he would be very conscientious in getting the position and doing whatever it is he needs to do to keep the position. And honestly, I hate to say it, but COVID's going to go away, but something else is going to come back.
Well, I don't
mean, it's every year there's something else. If there's like some kind of a crazy weather storm, or if there's another unfortunate, hopefully not, but if there's another, variant or another COVID issue. So in my mind, The $55,000 that we're going to be spending, or which is offset by $417,000 that he brought in, I honestly believe that the position is very warranted. I know what he does. I've looked at what he does. I've spoken to him. I've reviewed all of the processes. He does a hell of a lot of stuff.
No, but we can't.
And it's not just COVID. It's not just COVID.
But
It's
the money that you keep saying, it's a one-time revenue. We know what happens to one-time.
no, we don't know that for sure. I'm
Right,
sorry.
we don't- so we don't know that for sure,
It
but
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. The man brought in $417,000. He's doing a job that somebody else is not doing. He's accommodating all of these issues. Nobody else is doing that but him. And for $55,000, I think that's extremely reasonable for what the guy is doing. He's taking care of the town.
We've had other coordinators in the past do
residents. So I mean, for 50, he's getting it. What is it? You know, in my mind, you know, he's actually coordinating all of the issues that come about. And you know what? Somebody needs to do it. It's not one of us in council that's doing it. It's not anybody, you know, it's not the manager that's doing it.
Whatever the emergencies have been in the past is gotten done. And we all know that once you create a position, it's very hard to get rid of going forward. And I would hate to see a man out of a job because of an opportunity, a one-time opportunity or a 2-year opportunity. I mean, we have deputy coordinators. We have him. He has a job. He gets a stipend. I don't understand why the bureaucracy.
Well, in my mind, the stipend that he gets is not reflective of what he does. I'm sorry.
All right, can I just,
Good luck. Go ahead, Councilman.
2 seconds, this is really quick. If we have 60,000 residents, a penny a piece, this guy's paid for. It's like, come on, man.
I have a quick question, Brian.
This is crazy. It's
crazy.
It's 55,000. We get a grant for 10,000. It's down to 45. Hazardous spills 30, 40,000. So you're talking about 10 or 15,000 that we're squabbling over for $500,000 in two tropical storms, 217 for the PD in grants that you worked on with the Victor Cook and the mayor worked on, and there's so many more.
To his code enforcement, Mr. Bonovich, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. What happens to his code enforcement job? Then we have to replace that for 44,000. And listen, I understand he's doing a great job. We're in a pandemic, but we just arbitrarily just keep creating positions.
No, we're not creating a position though. This position has been in place for a while. The OEM position has been in place. It's not a new position. It's not a new position.
All right.
OEM has been in place forever. There's been OEM forever. Brian,
Can I comment on this, please?
please.
This is not the first time a situation like this has arisen. Just a few short years ago, when I first started, the council at that time had a desire to make our municipal alliance coordinator a full-time position. At that time, we went to the union to remove it as a union covered title because of the fact that it was a grant-funded position. There was a concern about, you know, if the grant funding ran out, you know, would the town be able to continue with this position or not? Well, fast forward a few short years, the grant funding has decreased over time, and the town has managed to continue that level of service because it's absolutely warranted. So this isn't the first time that the town has converted, you know, a part-time position to a full-time position. But there's also an understanding with any job, you know, if things change and, you know, we don't need.
If things change, you gotta
A
change.
number of DPW employees any longer through the use of technology. Well, yeah, we'll try and decrease that through attrition, but, you know, that's how things work. It's, you know, we're not saying that this is a guarantee, but it certainly looks like it is for the foreseeable future. So, you know, whatever the council wants, if you want to, this is only putting money in the budget to fund a full-time position. It's not the last bite of the apple, because if this remains in the budget, the council would then have to approve a salary ordinance for a full-time OEM coordinator. So if this has remained in the budget, it's not the last time that the council is going to have to take some action on this matter.
Agreed.
Okay, agreed.
Before we go further, do I have a chance of just saying 3 sentences without being interrupted?
Please.
So just tell me, Mr. Geegan, so the position that was held in code enforcement, that pays continued, correct? And then an additional stipend for the OEM work, is that correct?
That's what the incumbent is receiving currently, yes.
Okay. So I understand what Councilwoman Richmond is saying, part-time in the past, I understand that. But repeatedly from this council, I've heard, don't make a decision based on grants. And just as you said with the Municipal Alliance, those grants dried up. And at some point, COVID grants will dry up. So I don't want to make decisions based on what we think may be a potential income. That concerns me.
I agree with you, Councilwoman, but at the end of the day, it doesn't mean that we should shortchange someone who's doing a good job. If someone is working
$5,000 a year, he's not being
a
changed.
$55,000 position, then we should pay him. And if he's not doing it, then we shouldn't pay him. But at the end of the day, I've looked at a lot of, I'm sorry, I have the hiccups. I've looked at a lot of things that he's done. And
You know, I want to jump in for a second, Mayor, because we haven't
Sure.
given Mr. Cook a rice notice, and we should be talking about the position and not the person.
Then I
Fine.
reserve all my questions further along because I don't, I don't think that going through this right now, the money's in the
Agreed.
budget, whether or not it goes forward is another story. Is that my impression correct, Mr. Geegan? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And
Thank you,
just
sir.
a further comment on one of your concerns, my decision to include this as a full-time position, although grants are always a consideration, it was the actual workload that led me to make that decision.
No, I understand, and I
So-
appreciate you
Agreed.
saying that. Although
Absolutely
that-
agree.
what I'm hearing from my co-council members is that a wage could be levied, the wage and the grant money, that'll take care of a wage. And that's not the way to manipulate. Well, that is a way to manipulate, but that's not the way I think that the budget should be addressed.
No,
That's what I'm
That's
saying.
not the way, absolutely not. But I think that we should realize the monies that have been brought in by the position. And then we could talk about, retaining the position. If the position can bring in $400,000, there are grants annually for anything that occurs. So I'm not saying that I love the fact that we bring somebody on a grant, but at the end of the day, I don't think that that's what this is. In my mind, this should just be a salaried position because he's bringing grant funds apart from it. It's not a grant position in my mind.
Right,
The
but he
guy,
also
he's been
there-
working.
Excuse me if I can interrupt. I'm in the middle of budget presentation. If I could please finish it, the
Sure.
council discussion could follow. And we actually have a budget hearing scheduled for May 11th, hopefully.
Yes,
And it's
Um,
9:30.
please proceed.
I need dinner.
I'm trying. So anyway, we have the 2 EMTs, we have the full-time OEM coordinator, and as I've said in the past, replacing police officers on a 1-for-1 basis for retirements, and then adding 1 new additional. Again, smaller, shorter growth. It continues to grow the PD. I know the chief has asked for a significantly larger number. However, that also leads to mass retirements down the road. So that's what my recommendation continues to be. The overtime number that's reflected, this does include the increase that the chief had requested. Overall, in the entire budget, there's a decrease. A large part of that was based on the contract that was negotiated with our municipal court staff, that when they're on call, they don't receive overtime compensation. They now receive a flat stipend. So that caused a good decrease this year to offset that. Moving on to part-time wages, that's seasonal help for DPW. They have a lot of work to catch up on. Again, last summer, because of the hiring freeze, there was a lot of things that fell through the cracks. So we're hoping to get on this quickly and get our parks and public lands back up to shape. So that is the total salary and wage increase of $561,000. Moving on, some of the non-discretionary expenses, just to detail this. Some of the increases that we're having, the employee health benefits, pension contributions. The big ticket item is solid waste disposal, which, as you're aware, we recently just approved our new contract that we knew this was going to happen. The master plan update was just recently added in. That was asked earlier in the meeting.
So I'm going to say,
And-
Brian, you have it slated for 35,000. So if it goes over 35,000, you will be coming back to us for approval, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
So all total, well, one thing I do want to comment too is our debt service is going down. Thanks to the work of our CFO, has been doing a good job of taking advantage of good interest rates that are out there right now. And you will see the decrease in grant money of $216,000. We can only put in the budget grant approvals that we have as of right now. As you're aware, that goes on throughout the year when we do our Chapter 159 insertions. So that number will definitely change by the year's end. But again, we can only document the ones we have approvals for. So that shows a net increase of $707,000. Again, just to break this down, as a summary page, the non-discretionary, discretionary, and the grant appropriations total the $741,000, plus the salary and wages is 1.3. There is a small change, again, because of the flat tax levy that was recently requested. That has altered the final number for our total municipal spending increase. That number is now $1,301,180. So there's a small decrease there. Identifying the revenue that we're anticipating into this budget. As I said earlier, $6.6 million in surplus. Miscellaneous revenues of $5.3 million. State aid remains the same. Again, I just commented on grants. We can only include what we have approvals for. And all total, a budget of $54,844,820, which is an increase of 2.43%. This shows a breakdown of that allocation, where that money's coming from. Tax revenue is just over half of that, and surplus and state aid are the other large numbers included there. To go over our current debt service, this is a highlight of where we're at currently. Our general obligation bonds that we owe are $61 million with $2.4 million in leases. Just as a quick note, when we're sitting here a year from now doing next year's budget, we are already looking at about $1.5 million coming off our debt service. So that's going to be a nice boost for next year's budget.
Well, but Brian, can we go back to that previous slide? So
Sure.
That's very impressive, actually. When you take a look at the note interest, it's gone down. That's really great. And the capital lease is gone down. That's excellent.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just
credit
saying,
our
you did great job. That's a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So moving on, this just goes over our annual debt statement. As I said, we owe about $65 million. We form a percentage of that. Our current percentage is 0.861% of the 3-year equalized valuation basis. The amount we're allowed to borrow, which obviously we're not recommending, no one wants to do that, and Lou's probably having a heart attack right now, but the 3-year average is that $7.6 trillion number you see there. We're allowed
vacation.
So I just want to highlight the difference in
Huge.
what the town's total borrowing capacity could potentially be versus
Huge.
what it actually is.
Yeah, huge.
So
That's great.
that
It's
is
not that huge. It's great that we have that number, and it's fabulous that we don't have to go there.
Okay. And then finally, the big number, which again, this is another slide to change. You will note that I was originally instructed by the governing body that you wanted a flat tax rate. So that is the same tax rate as last year. However, as I mentioned, with the recent direction to maintain a flat tax levy, that amount is now 38.6 cents. So we have just under a penny decrease in our tax rate. Again, I'd like to highlight where we stand in the county, just so people know. A 2-year look back puts us, at number 19 out of 52 municipalities throughout Monmouth County. And you'll see in 2020, we remain the same. So.
That was a nice slide, Brian.
Thank you.
Just saying.
Another comment I will make, I'm going to boost this on our website again, and it will have to be updated. But last year, unfortunately, it kind of got lost in the shuffle with COVID. But we did come up with a tax calculator on our website. So somebody could enter in the dollar amount of their assessed value, and they will see exactly how much of their tax dollar goes towards the police department, how much goes towards insurance, how much towards legal bills, all these various aspects of the municipal portion of their taxes. So that will be updated and rolled out shortly. Again, based on the 0.395% tax rate, this slide was created prior to yesterday's instruction. The average homeowner will see a $23 increase in their municipal tax levy based on the increased assessments. The
Can you
highlighted
repeat
positions.
that, Mr. Keegan? I'm sorry, you were cutting out on my end. Could you repeat that?
Sorry about that. Yes, again, this is based on the 39.5 cent tax rate. The average homeowner would have seen an increase of about $23 in their municipal tax portion of their property taxes. That will go down slightly from that amount, but that increase is due to increased assessments. This budget is in compliant with the appropriations and levy caps. It was even prior to the recent modification. And then we'll move on to the sewer utility, which is very quick and simple, straightforward. As you're aware, the money, it's a balance. We bring in the same amount we expend. So you'll see we were off a very slight amount with our sewer fees from what was anticipated. The larger amount, the miscellaneous, we were down a bit from that. A large part of that was decreased connection fees throughout the year last year, as well as the Southern Route 9 assessments. Some of those have since been paid off and have been coming off the books. So we anticipated $7.29 million budget. 2020, we realized 7.233. So pretty close to the numbers there. We expended just over $7 million of the $7.3 million budget. I was joking around with Lou about having to cancel off $5.02. That's a requirement of his to make sure the books are balanced out by the end of the year. So that's the reason for that.
Is he doing it?
Yeah, no, he did.
Is he taking the challenge?
No, he has to. That's part of the balancing the books.
It's a state requirement that we have to lapse off any remaining debt service that isn't used, and there was $5 and change remaining, so it is.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then finally, our sewer utility debt service. The budgeted amount versus from last year to this year, you see a slight decrease, about $12,000. And that is about where we're at. Oh, I'm sorry, their appropriation side. There's a slight increase due to contractual obligations on their salary and wage line. And the increase in the expenses just comes from the operating costs, the various chemicals, things like that, that they need to use. So that is our sewer utility with a 0.68% increase.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Again, this, yep, proposed revenues. You'll see it balances out on one side to the next, what we bring in and what we expend. And then this is our surplus for the sewer utility fund. You'll see a decreasing amount there. So that's something that we need to watch for future budgets. And I don't know, Lou, if you want to comment any further on that one, the decreasing fund balance for this.
Yes, at the next meeting, I will be putting on for introduction a proposed rate increase for the sewer utility. The previous movement on this rate was an $80 decrease back in 2018. So in order for us to be able to be sustainable in 2020, I am going to be proposing a rate increase that can be enacted prior to the 2022 fiscal year.
What is the increase, Lou?
It would be $60 on an annual basis. So it would equate to about $15 a quarter.
Mhm.
Mayor, there was a memo circulated on that several weeks ago with Lou's recommendations and the background to that. And that is all I have for our current, our budget introduction.
Okay.
Can I just make a request that prior to any motion to introduce the budget, that we introduce the cap ordinance prior to that?
Okay with
Thank
that.
you.
Allison?
Allison, you're muted, hon.
Mute me.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mayor, may I real quick, before we do that, I just would like to thank Mr. Geoghegan, Mr. Palazzo. This is a really responsible budget, really impressive in a very tough year. So I want to thank you both. Excellent job.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Allison?
I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm only getting maybe every other sentence that everybody's saying.
Yeah,
me
my
too.
connection
Sorry.
is not good. Okay, ordinance 021-8, ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a CAD bank. May I have a motion to introduce ordinance number 021-8 on first reading by title and to order the same to be published in the 4/16/21 issue of the Asbury Park Press, together with notice of its introduction and passage on first reading by title, and
She's frozen.
the Township Council to be held on May 11th, 2021 at 7 p.m. prevailing time in the municipal building, tentatively. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to introduce the 2021 municipal budget.
I'll second. It's actually the cap, isn't it? It's supposed to be the cap first?
Cap.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is for the cap or the cap ordinance. Roll call, Councilman Bonovich,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Councilwoman Richmond,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Russo,
Yes.
Mayor Berger.
Yes.
And have a motion to introduce the 2021 municipal budget.
I'll make a-
Allison, if I may, I just wanted to put it to the governing body that the motion would include for the 2021 municipal budget. Total appropriations equals $54,843,000. Miscellaneous revenues anticipated $25,641,785, and amount to be raised by taxation $29,201,215.
Mayor, so moved with the figures proposed by Mr. Palazzo.
Second,
Roll,
yes.
thank you. Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Councilwoman Richmond,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Russo,
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
Yes.
The next regularly scheduled council meeting will take place on Tuesday, April 27th. Tentatively via Zoom, executive session at 6 PM and public session at 7 PM.
Yes. I can't make a motion. Who can make a motion?
So moved, Mayor.
Thank you.
Councilman Bonovich, was that a second?
Yep, second,
Sorry. Roll call, Councilman Bonovich,
yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Councilwoman Richmond,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Russo,
Yes.
Mayor Berger.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, all.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Have a wonderful week.